Hi friends, this is your pal Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons in a Castle. I'm absolutely fascinated by Dungeons and Dragons in a Castle, and what I want to talk about today is this really strange report on Dungeons and Dragons in a Castle that 60%. By the way, there was a documentary done by a German lady. It's quite good, and so that's one of my primary sources on Dungeons and Dragons in a Castle. One of my other primary sources on Dungeons and Dragons in a Castle is I know a gentleman who actually ran Dungeons and Dragons. I actually don't know. I know one guy who ran Dungeons and Dragons in a Castle 4 times, and I know another guy who ran Dungeons and Dragons in a Castle at least twice. Right, so I know two different gentlemen who have run Dungeons and Dragons in a Castle. So I have both firsthand knowledge, and I have this German documentary about Dungeons and Dragons in a Castle. But that German documentary said something fascinating, right? Which is that 60% of all people who have played in D&D in a Castle are repeats. That means that what is happening is that people are going and then going back. All right. So I want to talk this through, right? So let's put some numbers together, okay? So and correct me if any of this is wrong, but this is my understanding of Dungeons and Dragons in a Castle as of February 2025. Okay. Thousands of players, literally thousands, probably no less than 2,000. And I doubt any more than 10,000. So between 2 and 10,000 players, right? Easily hundreds, probably between 2 and 800 dungeon masters, okay, have run. And then, yeah. And this has been going on for 6 years. Dungeons and Dragons in a Castle has been going on for 6 years. And it happens on 2 continents. It happens on, let's call it 2 continents. Europe and America. All right, and actually, America is a country, but Europe is just a continent. And I don't even know if it's a continent. It's a geographic region, which is identifiable, right? But those are the only 2 places in the world that have enough wealth and enough charismatic, confident, intelligent people to make Dungeons and Dragons in a Castle happen, right? And by the way, there's no other tabletop role-playing game can do this. There's no Cthulhu in a Castle, right? Not as a program. There might have been like an event, but this is an ongoing program that has run for 6 years. And get this, 60% of the players are repeats. That means they went, and what actually happens, okay? You're paying, get this, you are paying $5,000 for 3 days of D&D. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm not saying that's too much. I'm just saying that it is astonishing. It is definitely astonishing. And I will say, would I pay that kind of money? Well, the reality is I don't know the answer, only because I don't have D&D in a Castle money. And this is fascinating to me. What kind of money do you have, right? And so let's talk about this, right? I go to the movies whenever I want money, right? I have buy every single Dungeons & Dragons buy every single Dungeons & Dragons releasing book that I want money. I do not have buy every Dungeons & Dragons book money. I do not have the money to buy. I would buy every single hardback, D&D hardback I could get a hold of. I don't really care about modules, right? I do love D&D hardbacks of every edition. Now get this, I have bought every single Orange Spine easily, right? But I don't have $5,000 to go off for 3 days of D&D. I don't have that kind of money, right? Now the reality is, if I tripled or quadrupled or 10 times, if I 10x'd what I made, absolutely, I would go tomorrow, right? Like I would just yeah. So I don't have any opinion on if $5,000 is too much money for 3 days, right? And one of the reasons why is I listened to a great podcast, and he talked about spend shaming, right? Like how a lot of people are like, oh, I can't believe you bought $300 sneakers. You poor people should do better with your money. And then, ridiculous fools are, billionaires are buying wine. That's amoeba piss. Are you kidding me? Like, who's the fool, right? Like, that's ridiculous, right? Buying a bottle of alcohol for like $1 million. Like nobody should shame anybody. Just spend your money on what you want, right? Okay. All right, let's keep it moving. All right. So get this. That means that there are enough wealthy people in Europe and in America, oh, and internationals who fly in to support this. But I do think it's really fascinating that only two continents can support it. One continent, actually one geographic region in one country, right? Actually, only two countries in the world. One, America and Europe. That's it. That's it. It's the only people that can support this, right? That's pretty incredible to me, right? But I'm really fascinated by this 60% number. So one, this means that first of all, I don't think anyone who's making less than $250,000 a year is doing this. I think, everybody who is going is making $250,000 or better as a couple right now, and most humans are coupled up right at this point, or, I'd actually, yeah. So they're either making 250 grand on their own or as a couple, right? And then one of the couple, or even both, are getting sent to this place, right? So that means you have thousands of wealthy people who have enough interest in Dungeons & Dragons to keep this going. And get this, to Dungeons & Dragons in a Castle's programs credit, they want to come back. They want to do it again. They don't go and go, oh my gosh, that wasn't worth my money. They're like, it was totally worth my money. That's fascinating. That is absolutely fascinating. Now, what's even more fascinating is, are there going to be people who live at D&D in a castle? And the reason why I would ask this is I was fortunate. I went one time in my entire life. One time in my entire life I went on a cruise, right? And it was beautiful. We had planned to go to, I believe we were going to cruise to Jamaica. But, a storm came up and we had to go to Canada. Boo, yay, boo. Right? Like, it was, who wants to go to Canada? But we had to go, and we got to cruise there, so it was pretty epic. It was really nice, right? So we had a good time, right? So I went on a cruise to Canada, right? And when we were there, we met somebody who lived on cruises. They had sold their condo, and they were on cruises literally like 40, at least 40 weeks a year, and the other weeks they stayed with friends, right? They had the money to do it, and that means we could be looking at the first Dungeons and Dragons in a Castle, live in, right? Like, it could happen, right? We're getting there. And also, I trust and believe that this means there's at least 100 to maybe 500 D&D millionaires, at least. In fact, I think it would be extremely rare to find a millionaire who had not played Dungeons and Dragons. In particular industries, in some industries, yeah, you could make millions but never play D&D. But I think D&D millionaires are quite common. I'm fascinated by this. What are your thoughts on every single word you just heard in this video? Was my humble opinion. Absolutely nothing more and absolutely nothing less. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. I'd love to hear your thoughts on D&D in a Castle. Thank you.